All right, this is Blender 3.3. If you look at the splash screen, you can see the number up here. You may have a newer version than this, hard to say, but what we want to do is a 2D animation. And so obviously all you have to do is click down here and select 2D animation. I won't select that. That's the easy way to get in. If I just click somewhere, it defaults to the 3D window, and you can see our 3D workspace. Middle mouse button lets us move around. But if we want to do a 2D animation, all you have to do is go File, New, 2D Animation. And we're up and running. I can start drawing right away. The only thing is, you notice it's a little bit light. Increase the strength, and there we go, it's darker. I'm going to undo both of those, Control Z, Control Z. Leave our strength up here at 1, and we are ready to draw. So down here, just to quickly go through the interface, I can use the middle scroll wheel to zoom in and out. So if I want to get closer or if I want to get further back, middle mouse wheel. This is the drawing pen. Let's see, our solid stroke is selected up here. One thing we might want to do actually is switch over here to a different mode. And if we switch here to this mode, it means that we can actually select our color like this and start drawing with any color we want. In fact, if we click on that and change, we're instantly drawing with a different color. That might be a better way to go. I am going to select black though, just to start with. And we're in draw mode, solid stroke, okay, solid stroke, pen, and we've set our strength to 100 or to 1. If we go down here to the bottom, that's our frame, and this is also very important. This is a layer that we're on. So we're on the lines layer, so let's draw a line. In fact, I'm going to draw a circle line. There we go. And then I'm going to go up to frame 2, and I can drag like that to advance, or I can use the right and left arrow keys. I'll go to frame 2, and you might notice as soon as I start drawing, or as soon as I draw my first item, the previous layer fades out a little bit. That's onion skinning. And this is really handy in animation. Most animation tools have this built in. And it simply allows you to draw something, but see your previous frame. Okay, so let's go on to the next frame. I'll hit the right arrow and start drawing. These aren't going to be perfect, that's okay. By the way, if I go back to the previous frame, I can see 2 frames. I can see the previous frame, the prior frame, and I can see the afterwards frame. That's how onion skinning works. At least in this setup, it's set to show 1 previous and 1 post frame. Now, of course, if I go to the next frame, there isn't a frame number 4. You can see we're on frame 3, and so it's only showing the previous frame. I've drawn this circle bigger than the previous one, and that's okay. We're not looking for perfection here. Let's go to frame 4. And I should probably mention, we do want to try to employ some of the principles of animation. And the best thing to do on frame 5 here is to start that right out of the gate. And what I'm going to do is just elongate this slightly. So we're going to stretch it a little bit. And when something goes into free fall, often in cartoons, that's exactly what you'll see. You'll see that it does appear to have actually stretched. Now, again, that's just one of the principles of animation. There are 12 of them all together. I'm going to draw it even longer here. And then what I'll do at frame 8, we'll pretend this is the bottom. I'm going to draw it first of all as a circle. And we do want to try and maintain the same volume as best we can. That's not perfect, but again, it's okay. We're just trying to sort of rough this in. Okay, it looks like I've increased the volume significantly on that frame. So we don't want to do that. That's better. Well, maybe that's about the same. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. So we've got our first 9 frames of this animation. I can actually use the middle scroll wheel, and you notice it looks like my frames have disappeared. What we're doing is zooming in, and I'm just creating a little more space in between those keyframes. Each of these represents a keyframe, and it's storing information about the location of the object and actually the object itself. We can set the total number of frames down here. Let's set that to 20. Okay, you can see it cuts off beyond frame 20. If I hit the space bar, we can actually see this thing go through its motion now. So we already have a simple animation. What I'm going to do next is just drag over top and select all of these and duplicate them. I might be able to do that right-clicking. Let's see. Yeah, duplicate. Or I could use a shortcut, Shift-D, and then drag. Very handy shortcut, by the way, Shift-D. Very, very handy. Okay, and I'm going to just take that, I'll take it to right there. But then with all of those frames selected, I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to go Mirror by times over current frame. Actually, before I do that, watch what happens now. It's falling, and it falls twice. We don't want that. We want it to bounce back up again. So I'll right click and we'll say mirror by times over current frame. Okay, it moved it a little bit. That's okay. We'll just grab it. Grab the ones that we just pasted. Click here. I want to drag them back. G key to grab, by the way. Okay, G key is important as well. So let's go back here, hit the space bar to play, and we're not too far off. Okay, I don't really like it though. It needs to pause a little bit less time. I'm going to use the G key, and I think I have 2 frames at the bottom. I'm going to select just one of those and hit the delete button. And then I'm going to select the rest of these. I'm just dragging over top. G key to grab, and I'm going to move it over 1. So we've lost a frame, but that's okay. Let's see. That's a little bit better. Now we're getting a more realistic bounce. Now you notice up at the top, it just kind of pauses there. Let's add another frame in here. And this frame, what I'll do is I'm going to actually do a little bit of an elongation up here. So it's just hardly going to move. And I'm just going to slightly widen it out in the X. Okay, let's see what happens. And it still pauses. I could even do another one up here and just let it kind of hover a bit. Sort of go halfway between the two. Just to give it a little bit of motion. It's like it's just kind of hanging out at the top for a second before it falls. And this one I'm going to actually almost trace over top of that one. And it will just look like it's hanging there for a second before it falls. I like that motion. It's actually not too bad. Now there's lots that we could do with this, but we've done our first animation. We could go back and we could actually add a face onto this. So I'll start with frame 1. Now remember to draw, or remember when you're drawing, you want the darkest outline because we do have our onion skinning on. So I'll just draw. I'm going to do a very simple face, something that I can replicate fairly easily. Okay, and I'll just put the eyes looking down like that, and a nose like that. Okay, we're on to frame 2. And I'm going to just sort of replicate that face again. Eyes are always, for me, the hardest. Yeah, you can see I already messed it up a little bit, but that's okay. Again, we're not going for perfection. I'll just try to quickly go through these. I'm going to make the smile a little less smiley as our guy's dropping. Whoops, I'm going to undo that. And you could keep going with it. I think you get the idea, but you could easily keep going with this and fill in the face for the entire animation. It's not going to take very long. I just don't want to spend too long in this. But I do want to show you fills, and fills are important because what we can do is fill in the background. Now, right now we're on the lines layer, and below that is the fills layer. This is important. When you're creating your fills, it's a good idea to put them on a separate layer. I'll see if I can show you why. What we normally do is we go fills layer, then we would select the fills tool. There's a lot of steps here. Then we select the solid fill. And then we pick a color. It's green as a default. We click there and it fills it in. Okay, not bad actually. But you notice the best thing to do is make sure you're on the fills layer. I'm going to undo that and I'm going to select lines layer. And look what happened. It actually filled over everything. It's trying to do what we think we want it to do, which is fill in that entire shape. But if we select the fills layer, it'll in essence leave the layer with the drawing, including the face, on top. And that is what we want. So it's best to put that on a separate layer. Okay, we can actually do one other thing that's kind of a neat trick, and that's we can actually fill in multiple. So we'll click there, and I'm going to drag over top of all frames. And now, wherever we click to fill, it'll fill in any overlapping images. You can see if it turned a darker color, it's filled those in. Got a couple more there. This should get the last 3. And there's one up in the top here, which I think was missed. So we'll click up there. All right, let's try that now. We can undo that button because we don't want the multi-frame enabled all the time. It's just handy for filling in overlapping layers. Okay, oh, not bad. Well, that was pretty quick. So we have really our first animation. And again, I'm not going to draw the face in there, but this is a really good place to start a bouncing ball using squash and stretch. All right, that's it for now. Oh, I should maybe just quickly show layers. That is a handy thing to know. What if you want to do more layers? I do have another tutorial to show that, but if we go over here, you can, and I'm going to stop this, spacebar again to play, we can simply add a new layer here, and we can actually, with it selected over here, we can move it up or down. I'll move it down, and we can double click on it to name it. I'm moved to the bottom left here. Maybe we want to draw the sun or clouds in here. I'll just label that sun. Okay, that's enough for now. I'm going to leave it at this just as an introduction. I hope that helps. That's it for now. Over and out.